All right, so my project today is going to be to finally put in a soaker hose system down in the garden. My garden's almost 2 years old and it's not even full of dirt yet. I do have two beds that have dirt. One has peas, one just finished up some peas, and then I just planted some pumpkins and cantaloupe. So in order to help keep the pumpkins and cantaloupe well hydrated, I got this super soaker hose system from my local box store over at Lowe's. And just because it's a temporary experiment, I got a couple of dollar store hoses here. These are 50-foot hoses I got from the local dollar store for 10 bucks a piece. That'll do just to make sure that the system works. These are just temporary. Once I get the system set up, I'll trade these out for something a little more permanent. But right now I want to do kind of a box opening on this Soaker Pro system that I got from Lowe's. All right, this is the Soaker Pro system from my local box store. I got it at Lowe's. It's about $35, $37, somewhere in there. And it comes with all the connections you need to do probably a 4-row garden bed. So that's going to be way more than what we need today. I'm going to get this out of here and see what we got. So, yeah, I thought 100-foot. Oh, bonus seeds. No, I bought these extra. So I thought 100 feet of hose was pretty generous for $35, $37. That's a lot of hose. So the box comes with the hose and the parts to put it together with. Pretty simple, really. There's not a lot to talk about. Let's see what kind of connections we have here. So according to the box, these are the female connectors. I have 4 female connectors. These are the male connectors. I have 4 male connectors. These are plugs. I have 4 plugs. These are the T connectors. I have 6 T connectors. And feeders. I have 2. This is what they call a feeder line because the hose comes in this end and it feeds the water out. So I have 2 feeders, 6 T connectors, 4 male connectors, 4 female connectors, and 4 plugs. So just a quick feature editor's note. That blue disc inside the female and the T connector is a flow restrictor. If you're going to do a non-pressure gravity situation like this, remove that and you'll get better flow. So as you can see, 100 feet of this hose took me all the way into the woods there. It's not terribly kinked up already from the factory. It's going to be just fine here in a few minutes. So I think right now I'm going to let this warm up and then we can plan how we're going to get it from the tanks down to the garden. So it turns out these hoses that I got from the dollar store are in much more need of straightening out in the sun than that drip hose was. So let's uncoil these bad boys and rest this in the sun because it needs to stretch out. It's pretty tightly coiled. If you've been watching me from the beginning, almost 2 years ago now, this is one of the first projects I put in at the house, and it's been working like a charm ever since. I've got these 3 huge trash cans all connected in tandem coming off the roof gutter there, and it diverts there going into that one, which fills that one, which fills this one. And as you can see, they're all full. So that's a lot of water that I can use to irrigate the garden with. The idea is to bring it in here, bring it in under the mulch, and bring it up on the flat side of one, preferably both of these beds, but really just this one. This is the bed where I had my peas growing. I pulled all those out. Most of them, there's still a couple scraps in there. I have cantaloupe and pumpkin planted in here presently. It's around the end of May. And I've got some more beans over there still and some potatoes growing over here. But right now, the focus of this experiment is to get this drip line into this bed where the cantaloupe and the pumpkin are. Want to check the mushrooms while we're out? I got to go down to the shed to get my drill. Looks like one of the covers blew off this one last night. These have been producing really well lately, so I don't expect much. Nothing on that one. Nothing in there. Nope. Goose eggs. Nothing. They've been producing really well the last few weeks. Ah, there's some. Good ones. Got those guys. But yeah, super heavy shiitake production in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because we did have a couple of weeks of just solid rain. And it really helped these guys pop. There's another little guy right there. That little guy. Yeah, it's been a while since we talked. Let's go down in the woods. I've got to go down here to get my drill so I can show the big brown building down here that was here when we moved in is now completely gone. Don't know what I'm going to do with that space just yet, but something's going to happen there. And through my unfinished arch back over here to what used to be the chicken coop. It's now the storage area. This is where I keep my stuff. Don't tell anybody. Yeah, my long-term goal for this little chicken house structure is to completely take off all this siding and renovate it and turn it into a playhouse for my granddaughter. Hopefully that'll happen soon. I've got a lot of stuff on my plate right now. This is just a storage building. That's a dream. It'll happen at some point. Hey, she's only 6 months old. We got time. Drill. Yeah, we're coming into the home stretch with the old smokehouse here. There's a whole long separate other video about that thing. I'll be so glad when that's finished. But it's looking good. It's looking good. It's almost there. I've got some cosmetic things that need to be done to make it function properly, but so far I've had a few fires in it. It seems to be working at about 60%. But the patches that I have in store are gonna fix that, and hopefully we'll be smoking some bacon soon. These little plastic splitters I got at the dollar store for $1.25. They were not bad. They're just little cheap plastic splitters, but I want to replace it with this good steel splitter from the hardware store. Just connect this temporary hose. I like these handles on here. That's nice for tightening it up. Get it on there nice and snug. These control whether or not the valve's open. So obviously this is open. That's open. So we'll open it up and then that'll flood this with water. So we'll leave it closed for now and then we'll go deal with the other end. So I added this conduit clip onto the hose here just so that it won't put any undue pressure on this thing when I pull it tight. So it'll just hold it in place, and then maybe eventually it'll get buried in the ground right there just a little bit. Supervisor. So the first 50 feet almost made it to the garden, and we're still about 25 feet short. So I'm going to connect these two hoses together and run it all the way down. So the plan right now is going to be to just coil it up and store it on this pole here until I can figure out a way to connect all the beds. I might be able to cut this up and splice some other ends on it so that I can use these as little connector bits. But for now, I'm just going to hang it right here and connect it to that bed there. It's pretty straightforward. This piece here just screws onto the end of the water hose. Screw that onto the end of the hose there, And then now you have a T for the 2 lines. So now I can just cut 2 lines and stop them on the end, and that's pretty much it. This is going to be a pretty easy project for us. So then this just inserts into the end. Push that in there nice and snug, and that's in there. Do the same thing on this side. But first I have to measure this hose to make sure it's long enough and then cut it. So change of plan. We're not going to cut it, we're just going to run a big U. Duh. And now I can cut this hose here, like so. I just cap the end. Then I can just cap the end here. And the nice thing is, if I wanted to extend it, I can extend it with this. But for now, we'll just cap it. So honestly, you guys, it just doesn't get much more complicated than that. I'll have to, if I'm gonna do this system where I just have one hose, I can just take this stopper and jam it in the end here. Take that stopper and jam it in the end there, and that'll plug this end up so all the water comes out this side. Nice. That way it'll just run down there and do a slow leak all the way back around. These dollar store hoses, I'm finding they kink really easily, so you got to be careful with the kinking on these things. They're kind of kinky, you know. The kind you don't take home to mother. Okay, so just turned the water on a moment ago, and it looks like we have water. We have drippage. It's doing nice. That's going to help a lot. I think there might be a little air in the line. Tiny little bit of drippage there. I got to tighten that up. So there was an issue with a leak right here in this connection, so I just put a little of this gray plumber's tape on, tightened it down with the old pliers, and seems to be dry as a bone now. Got that done. Okay, easy fix. So it looks like, take the cap off the end here. You can see we still have pretty good water flow coming out of there. Cap that up, and it'll all seep out through the hose. Got my pumpkins planted in the center. Cantaloupes down the edge. And these are just leftover peas I'm going to leave, whatever. But you can see I have some of the cantaloupe are already popping through. There's my little cantaloupes coming through there. They'll be happy to see this extra water coming off this drip line. I could double that hose back and just bridge across here and then run it around in here too. I don't know, we'll see. Otherwise, I'll just hand water it. So, I've got everything hooked up. It seems to be working really well. The drip is kind of slow, which is fine. I don't want to drain my tanks. And it does seem to be depositing enough moisture, but I think the key is going to be turning this thing on at night and letting it go all night and turn it off in the morning before I go to work. Because out there today in the sunlight, it's going to evaporate as quickly as it comes out. So I think this is going to be an overnight process. But all in all, I'm happy with the way it works. As far as the product goes, it couldn't be more easy to install. The only problem that I'm having to figure is how to bridge the gaps with little short pieces of hose. I'm going to need like a 4-foot section of hose with a connection on the end. I'm not sure how to do that yet. I'll look it up. If you know how to do it, tell me. But I need like little pieces of hose to connect them between the beds. Other than that, it went together very simply. I'm super happy with it. It was only 35 bucks. You really can't go wrong with that. It's 100 feet of hose, so that's way more than enough to do the whole garden. But I just got to get those pieces together. You know what I'm saying? But I just got to get those pieces together and then I can do the whole garden up. But right now this was just an experiment to see if it worked, and I'm happy. I think it worked. Let's move on to the next project.